It was an incredible moment watching the Canadian Olympic team walk into the opening ceremonies at Sochi, and one of the big memorable part of that moment is, of course, the Canadian uniforms, which were actually manufactured right here in Winnipeg. Marissa Freed of Freed and Freed, you were behind these gorgeous uniforms, manufacturing of them. What was it like for you to see Team Canada walk into the stadium?
You know, I think I underestimated that moment. It was really surreal for me to see this whole group of Canadian athletes wearing something that both my team and I had such great involvement in and created and partnered up with such a fantastic design team with HBC. It was such a prideful moment and so amazing to be able to bring that to Winnipeg.
And these uniforms, we've been looking at them a little bit. They're incredible. So you're going to give us a closer look at them.
Absolutely. All this design was done in Canada by the HBC company, and all of these things are currently available. So it's a whole Canadian program. There's a few logos, if you will, that are sewn on the jacket. And of course we have the Olympic patch and the HBC patch, and then there's another Olympic team patch. So I think that for everybody on the floor and everybody that got to partake in the production of these goods, that it was a really big honor to be involved in knowing that they were actually producing the garments that the athletes would wear and were going to be shown on TV and broadcast nationwide. There were two times the floor people sort of got really excited, all the sewers on the floor. One time when HBC actually came in to tour the factory and make sure, we were a compliant, up to standard factory to actually produce these garments, because there are very high requirements behind producing Olympic gear. And the other time is when the opening ceremonies actually occurred. So everybody wore red. It was like really a home pride thing, and they were really excited and honored to be a part of it.
We actually stopped by Freed and Freed a couple weeks ago, but the Olympic uniforms were still on lockdown. But here is a profile of the company that produced the uniforms for Hudson Bay Company.
This is an example of the all-weather coat that we do for the Canadian military.
Crafting uniforms for the Canadian military and the RCMP has kept clothing manufacturer Freed and Freed viable in a declining industry.
So this is a sewing floor. It goes all the way back there, all the way to the pressing.
The garment trade was once the second largest industry in Winnipeg until production moved overseas. But the sewing floor here at Freed and Freed is busy once again.
Every other day is a new challenge and becomes more exciting, and you just want to see what else you can do.
Marissa Freed is the fourth generation family member to run the company. And since taking over from her father, she's rejuvenated the business, which had been on the decline for years.
It's a big deal to realize that you have this legacy that, one, you get to take part in, and two, you have to figure out how to continue and to live on and put your own mark on it.
In the past 5 years, the company has grown from 20 employees to about 120. Marissa, whose background is in fashion and business, recently designed a line of outerwear and is capitalizing on the demand for made-in-Canada apparel.
We've become much more fashionable because it hasn't been easy. But now there is an interest in Canadian-made product again. And of course, like normally happens, the prices offshore are starting to rise more quickly than our own. So there's a future here, and there's a future to guarantee both service and quality.
It's not just made in Canada, but made in Winnipeg that's part of the success of Freed and Freed.
I'm honored and touched by the support I've received from the Winnipeg community, and I'm ecstatic to bring the work home.
For Go Winnipeg, I'm Jessica Cable.